Hey there, and a very happy Friday to you. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz, and this is Weather Out West. Starting next week, we will be bringing you an hour-long show each day, Monday through Friday, showcasing what's happening weather-wise across the western U.S. Meteorologists from our sister station, 8 regions, will be bringing you daily weather forecast and explaining weather phenomena that is impacting people across the region. You're going to find coverage from the Pacific Northwest to the Mountain West, California, and Arizona. And when severe weather hits, we'll be the first to alert you if it could impact people or property. So first, let's dive right in. We're going to California, and we will send it over to Sacramento, where a warming trend is underway just in time for the weekend.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods with a look at our Northern California weather forecast. Our regional headlines, including some coastal fog but afternoon sun. For the valley, we're going to be looking at some summer heat making a return. For the foothills, warm and dry, and a chance of storms for this year, a little bit deeper into the forecast. Our forecast highs into our Friday are upper 90s to near 100 degrees summer heat making a return. Cooler on the coast, though. Highs are going to be in the 60s and 70s, near 80 up top for the Lake Tahoe Basin. As far as the thunderstorm activity, it's really not going to start popping up until we get deep into our weekend forecast and early next week. But for the coast, we actually have quite a bit of low clouds and fog to start us off for the morning. As our north winds start to develop, though, along the coast, that's going to help to clear out some of the afternoon clouds and give us some peaks of sunshine. It makes a return for Sunday morning, though, and we'll continue to track that. If you happen to be heading towards the coast, maybe you're looking at some surfing. Water temperature quite cold, 55 degrees. We've got those wave heights. Not the best for some avid surfers, between about 2 and 3.5 feet. Our low tide at 7:38 on Saturday. High tide 2:45. Pretty close to that for Sunday. 8:20 is our low tide in the morning, and 3:29 for our high tide. UV index, though, where we see the peaks of sunshine up to 10. River temperatures throughout the valley quite cold, 50s and 60s. So as we are dealing with some of this heat, the water temperature is quite cold. Many times our reservoirs are the better place to see some relief from the heat. They just tend to have a much more stable environment, and they are full. 85 to 95% full. We're looking at well above average. Of course, San Luis is that off-stream pumped reservoir that feeds our aqueduct, and a lot of flexibility, so some things can kind of fluctuate a little bit more there. Our moderate heat risk will build into the weekend outlook, starting to moderate, though, a bit on Monday as we get a bit of a break from this heat as it continues to build. But we've only had 2 days this year with highs above 100 degrees. We usually average 16 for the entire year. The most that we've ever had is 35. So we're going to have to start to monitor that a little closer as we start to see some of those 100s pop up in the forecast. For our Friday, our highs are close to 80 for the Tahoe Basin. We're in the 80s and 90s for the foothills. That includes Sonora at 95, Placerville 92. As we move a little bit farther to the south, including Yosemite and Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park, we're in the 80s and 90s, but 100s into the valley, including Madera, Fresno, and Merced, awfully close to 100. Over towards the central coast, San Luis Obispo, 72 degrees. Beautiful coastline conditions there. Big Sur, 72. Monterey, 61. Santa Cruz at 68. Interior areas, though, we're deep into the 100s, including Bakersfield up to 103. Bay Area forecast, we're in the 60s along the coast. Morning fog, afternoon clearing. Beautiful conditions directly inland, a little bit farther into the interior sections, though, we're in the 90s. Now, as we move our way northward here, Fort Bragg up to 62 degrees. Redwood National Park, 63. Inland areas, again, the northern Sacramento Valley, deep into the 100s for that Friday forecast, and 90s through parts of the higher elevations and the foothills. So our Friday temperatures through the Sacramento Valley and the northern San Joaquin Valley are going to be in the 90s to near 100, but you'll notice those overnight lows not so bad, near 60. A little relief from the daytime heat with our localized forecast. Davis up to 97. You can see how once we get farther from that Delta breeze, things warm up quite quickly. Roseville 99 with 98 for Granite Bay. Folsom, where we have beautiful Folsom Lake at 99 degrees. Moving on to our extended forecast for our regions, you can see a slight chance of thunderstorms Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday for the mountains. But our local view through the valley, it is going to be warm. No thunderstorms. We're dry into next week, which of course includes the 4th of July forecast.
Thanks, Monica. Not so bad for the last weekend of June. Can you believe it? Now we're going to take you to Southern California, our sister station in San Diego, covering the coast all the way to the desert.
Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Evan Narani on a cloudy day as we started off in San Diego, but we are expected to see plenty of sunshine by the mid-morning and into the afternoon especially. It's going to feel a lot like summer for this weekend. So far this morning, we have incorporated a good amount of the overcast skies in the beach forecast as well as in our inland valley forecast. But those clouds every day this week have pulled back with pretty decent speed. It has been by about 9-10 a.m. that we've been seeing those clouds peel their way back and moved in the direction of more and more of that sunshine. We will be no different today. We expect to see those temperatures move from the mid-60s all the way up to the low 70s by about 11 a.m. And then into the afternoon stretch and evening stretch, we could peak at about 75 degrees. If we get there, that will put our temperatures on the warmer side of average out by the coastline. But I think our inland valleys are going to be wishing they were in the 70s because by this afternoon, they've got widespread 80s and in some cases near 90 degrees as that afternoon high. Thank you to Rod, one of our viewers, for sending this photo in. It just goes to show how that layer of clouds, the June gloom, has been stretching from the coast to our inland valleys and even all the way to the western slopes of the mountains. This photo just kind of displays that, how those western slopes are still inundated with cloud cover to start off each morning. We have, however, seen that temperatures across areas like this are mostly in the upper 80s. So while it is a beautiful sight, you got plenty of greenery to go out and enjoy, you are still going to be working with some warmer than normal temperatures. As we get into the end of the weekend and early next week, this ridge of high pressure amplifies from the east, and a trough of low pressure, the one that cooled us down for the early portion of the week, starts to slide out to the west of us. So it sets us up for an interesting situation on hand, which will likely end up manifesting as temperatures for the mountains and deserts staying right around normal and, in fact, slightly warmer than average. And then for our coastline and our inland valleys to start to see a gradual cool down. We'll see this reverse flow, this counterclockwise flow that's going to be sending clouds and cooler temperatures, that cool, moist air, toward our coast. And so it'll be the opposite of what we see out to the east of us. And because we're kind of right in the middle of it, we've got two dueling pressure systems that are going to be changing things up for us. Take a look at your afternoon high temperatures for this afternoon. We've got 106 out in Borrego Springs, 82 for Palomar Mountain, 89 in Ramona. Remember, all these temperatures are going to keep warming up into Saturday and Sunday, so even warmer temperatures expected. 73 for Oceanside, 69 in Del Mar, 81 for Poway, and 83 for Escondido. Let's talk about how that's going to change over the course of the next 7 days. At the water, there's not going to be much of a change. And that's because that sea breeze, that coastal eddy, has kept things very stagnant each morning and midday. That sea breeze, meaning that cool, moist air that's kind of just evaporated from the ocean, is really allowing for stagnant temperatures out by the water. But inland, we'll watch for a warm-up that will peak tomorrow and Sunday. That's the warmest stretch for us, about 5 degrees warmer than average. And then a cool down that comes by the middle of next week. We've got mainly 80s out there, low 80s by the time we get to Thursday of next week. Still no chance for wet weather. I know we had that 20% chance. I'd say that's more associated with a dense marine layer that will come on shore. You got sunshine through the next 7 days for the mountains and deserts. Temperatures in the low 90s for Saturday afternoon through Wednesday afternoon. The deserts could peak at 109. I'd say there's a very strong likelihood that Borrego Springs or Ocotillo Wells makes it to even 110 for Sunday afternoon, Monday afternoon, or Tuesday afternoon. Basically, it is really starting to feel like summer across San Diego County.
That summer heat is really cranking up. In fact, Seattle's all-time hottest temperature, 108 degrees, so nothing like that. And we don't have that in the forecast in the Pacific Northwest, at least west of the Cascades. Coming up next, we're taking you to the Pacific Northwest, and we'll take you to Seattle and then to Portland. To weather out west, I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. Next, we're taking you to the Pacific Northwest where June gloom is really a thing. Starting in Seattle, I take a deeper dive into the forecast because clouds are going to dominate at least the first half of our weekend, but then sunshine and 80s. A very happy Friday to you. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz with a look at your Seattle forecast. Lingering light showers today and cloud cover, but if you want some brighter and warmer weather, just look ahead to the weekend. We're clearing and we're heating up this weekend, but we're even warmer to start next week. And the reason why it's so murky out there, and it's going to be at least today, because we still have this upper level trough over the region, and that's going to move to the east tonight, allowing for a ridge to build over the area starting Saturday. Sunday and Monday, that's when it's really going to build and amplify over the region before it starts to weaken Tuesday and Wednesday and moves more to the east. That opens the door for a couple of disturbances, maybe to clip the area. Beyond Wednesday, the forecast is a little iffy because we have to see just how close these disturbances do get to western Washington. But for now, keeping rain chances out of the forecast for Wednesday, maybe bringing us a couple of more clouds in place and temperatures a little cooler, but nothing like today. We'll be in the 60s today. Any shower activity, at least falling, accumulating rain, will likely be closer to the North Coast and Vancouver Island, whereas the rest of us, sprinkles. And you can see around Washington, we have those high clouds, mid-level and low clouds in place, just bringing it, again, some murky conditions. It's going to stay that way, but once again, don't worry, we are going to have brighter skies, and you can see the clouds just blanketing Seattle. High temperatures, our average high is about 73 degrees, and you see we're well below that. Nothing like last weekend when we had highs in the 50s. But speaking of weekends, going forward into the weekend, we still have low tide. So if you are going to go to Puget Sound or Redondo Beach, you could see this. Low tide is going to start to get a little closer to where it should be over the weekend. Our very own Farah Jadran sent these photos in, and you see the marine life and the tide pools. And so today you can still go out. This is going to be the lowest low tide for the next couple of days. 12:52 p.m. 3.1 feet below normal. Saturday and then Sunday, you see how it gets closer to where it should be this time of year. Overnight temperatures are going to dip down to the 50s. We're mostly cloudy, but then we turn the page to Saturday. This is where the forecast gets a little tricky in terms of our high temperatures, because it's all dependent on how quickly these clouds clear, but we're still anticipating the low and mid 70s for Puget Sound. Taking you through the futurecast, you see a little bit of green from about Snohomish County northward all the way up to the Canadian border and closer to the coast, going up to Vancouver Island. That's where we have the best chance for falling and accumulating rain. But even then, expect maybe 1/100th of an inch. Then we get into Saturday. Clouds are still lingering until about midday, and then they start to spread out and they start to clear as that ridge takes hold of our weather pattern. So some of you may get trapped under clouds for a good chunk of the day, but it's still going to be a lovely weekend, especially Sunday. 79 degrees here in Seattle. That means South Sound as well as the Cascade foothills likely going to be in the upper 70s to potentially lower and mid 80s. All the way out to the coast going to be quite warm as well. And then into our Monday, that's when temperatures are likely going to peak. But some good news for the Pride Parade on Sunday. Going to be lovely, sunny 70s and a north breeze, so something to look forward to. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and don't forget that sunblock if you're headed out. Looking so much better in the Pacific Northwest, including in Portland. Let's take you down to Oregon.
Haven't said this in a while, but from the Rose City, I'm Rod Hill, and it is a wet morning. We have had, going into mid-morning, 4 hours plus of absolutely consistent mist and drizzle. It's stacked up about 5/100ths of an inch of rain, which doesn't sound that wet, but these what we call drizzle storms can be particularly soaking, and we've got standing water in some of the pavement around town. So that's the way we're starting our Friday. The flow pattern isn't very different from what we've had the last couple of days. This is the third morning in a row that we started off with the low cloud cover down here. There's a second in a series of disturbances pushing into western Washington this morning, and it has played a factor in deepening our marine layer with those clouds thickening coming up the Columbia and then spilling down the Willamette into Portland. It has not been widespread here in Oregon. The mecca center has been of the wet weather, Vancouver and Portland, which is kind of interesting. You drop down to Salem, our capital city, and it's just been dry and overcast. There you can see it right there. Early morning numbers been in the low 60s. And this is new today. So far this week, the last couple of starts with low clouds in Portland, we popped up the timberline, 6,000 feet. You're above the clouds, and we had beautiful blue skies. But this shows you how much thicker the cloud depth is down here in our state with cloudy skies all the way up through Timberline Lodge this morning. There is the drizzle storm mid-morning continuing. At this point, it's unclear as to whether Portland will be dry by the noon hour today or not. We certainly will continue to see the wet weather for a little bit longer. That's a Wells Fargo camera. It's one of the taller buildings in downtown Portland, showing you the raindrops on the lens. Futurecast shows a similar weather pattern to what we've been seeing, and that is cloudy skies up and down the west side. And we believe the clouds will thin out somewhat as we go through the afternoon, or at least lift, which would shut off the mist and drizzle, allow temperatures some warming. Now, if the modeling is correct, you get south of Portland, you have significant sun starting to develop in places like Albany, Eugene, and Salem, but could be overcast for the most part, continuing north up into Seattle. Our weekend forecast has not changed. This shows some cloudiness tomorrow morning, but then probably no later than the 10 o'clock hour, the Rose City, Portland will be getting some sun on Saturday, and then we'll leapfrog into the warmer weather pattern, getting up to 80 tomorrow. 7-day coming up here in just a second. So our Friday forecast, a cloudy morning in the Mid-Valley, but primarily dry. Thinning cloud cover would allow a decent warm-up. This shows Corvallis, Oregon State University getting up to 77 and Salem getting up to 75. Southwest Washington numbers. Battleground 71, cloudy into afternoon. Thinning clouds later in the day, maybe, at least lifting cloud heights, which would bring in some drying and allow temperatures to be where they've been the last couple of days, and that's only sitting around 70 degrees. If you have plans to be here in our beautiful state of Oregon on this Friday afternoon, we will see sunny skies and 77 over in Bend, and Sun River will be beautiful. 70-degree temperatures, very comfortable in John Day, Baker City, and out toward the Blues between Pendleton and LeGrand as well. We'll keep that rain chance lingering up here in southwest Washington over toward Long Beach and Astoria. All right, our 7-day forecast, here we go. Certainly the drizzle start. We would need some thinning, lifting clouds to get up to 74 this afternoon. Once we clear tomorrow morning, as I mentioned, I think no later than 10 a.m., Portland will be clear then for a number of days with the warm-up on. Back up to about 80 on Saturday. I'm probably on the high end of possibilities. So we may or may not make 80. We may or may not make 90 Sunday, but certainly even if it's 87, 88, you will notice, hey, it's warmer than it's been in a while, and I'm going to say Monday could be hot at 94, and then we're in the 80s with dry weather and mostly sunny skies into the mid part of next week. Wishing everybody a happy weekend.
Thanks, Ron. Yeah, a beautiful weekend in the Pacific Northwest. Coming up next, we are going to take you east of the Cascades for the interior areas, Spokane and then Boise. Welcome back to Weather Out West. Next, we are taking you into the interior Northwest where it's going to be toasty, but even hotter as we head into the new work week. But first, let's start with Spokane.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington at Riverfront Park downtown as we gear up for an absolutely amazing weekend of basketball. It's Hoop Fest for the Saturday and Sunday, the world's largest 3-on-3 basketball tournament. The city is already transforming with a whole lot of hoops like this. First getting set up in the parking lots, but by 5 and 6 o'clock tonight, it's going to be the streets of downtown that are going to be incredible. We've even been warming up ourselves. I'm going to just take a couple simple shots here. First of all, you got to make sure you get your layups just right. Okay, that one's out of the way. We got that practice. How about a free throw here? Brandon's going to help me out when I miss these, right? Beautiful shot. Nice. Oh, right off the rim. You know, it's like one of those like half court or like halftime events where it's like you got to hit all three of the shots. I think that one's good. Perfect. Oh, right back. Okay, the three-pointer shot. We'll give it one shot. One shot. Money ball. Oh, I was gonna give it the old bang, right? But I mean, you can tell that the weather is looking absolutely beautiful outside right now. A lot of blue skies. The temperatures have been comfortable. There we go. got to finish on a beautiful shot like that. Okay, hit those 3 shots. Beautiful blue skies outside. As of right now, that's the way it stays all weekend long for Hoop Fest. It's going to be beautiful outside. There's going to be a lot of people from all across the West Coast that are going to be visiting our beautiful city this upcoming weekend. So let's jump into this forecast here, because it is going to warm up pretty quickly overall, as the sunshine has already come out this morning. Rain chances, not in Spokane, but there could be a few scattered showers across northern Washington, far north Idaho for today. No more than about 10-20% that at most. Mostly mountain and terrain driven showers out there. So here's that Hoop Fest forecast, an absolutely important forecast as the games start at 8 a.m. both days, and both of those days, those temperatures start out in the 60s at first, but it warms up well into the 80s for both Saturday and Sunday afternoon, with Sunday easily being the hotter of those 2 days. Honestly, for 80 degrees, that is really comfortable for Spokane weather here, but it will feel a lot hotter by Sunday. 87 the official temperature, but probably feeling like the 90s, especially on the blacktop, on the parking lots and the streets, again, of downtown Spokane. The heat wave does get here by early next week. Not just on Sunday when those temperatures just start to rise, but especially Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. Those will be those hottest days. At about 90 to 95 degrees, we have those labeled as weather impact alert days for the Spokane area in eastern Washington. Probably some of our warmest weather so far of this early summer season. Of course, the number one thing to do is to always stay cool, find AC, stay hydrated, and that goes especially for all the athletes that are going to be participating in that 3-on-3 basketball tournament here in Spokane. Stay hydrated. It will do you wonders, because remember, it might feel hotter than even what the forecast says, especially if you are out in that direct sunlight. So 87 on Sunday is when that heat starts to build, and I've got Spokane's high temperatures between 91 and 95 degrees for the first 3 days of next week. So basically, as we turn the calendar from June into July, that's when things will start to get much hotter overall. So far, 94 degrees has been the hottest temperature achieved this year in 2025. We're forecasting 95 on July 1st for this upcoming Tuesday. But as for today, mid-70s, beautiful conditions, a little bit of a light breeze, and then we get to our Hoop Fest weekend. Low 80s on Saturday, upper 80s on Sunday, but should be an absolute blast from the streets of Spokane.
Thomas, slam dunk forecast. We were all rooting for you in here. We are going to have some hot temperatures following all the way to Idaho as well, and potentially some triple-digit heat as well. Check it out.
Hello, I'm Hector Mendoza here in Boise, Idaho, and it was a beautiful day yesterday. This is looking at our Tamarack Summit camera with an elevation of 7,700 feet. What a beautiful day it was yesterday. We did see some clouds, blue skies, an abundant amount of sunshine. But as we got closer into the evening, we had a bit of those clouds. Then as we headed closer into the overnight hours, we did get a chance to see some stars in the sky. But I've got a bit of a better view at Anderson Ranch, and this was a picture posted on our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page here, and then seeing some of those stars in the sky with a bit of those colors. Just a beautiful view from last night. The other thing that we did notice from yesterday was temperatures were pretty warm. We did get that sunshine, and temperatures aren't really going to change too much as we start to get into today and going into tomorrow and continuing on into the weekend, as we're going to start a sort of warming trend as we head on into Sunday. But again, a bit of a different change as we're looking at temperatures from last weekend. Upper 60s, low 70s, so a huge change up, and being able to enjoy some of those summer activities that we have, especially with people going out to float the Boise as it started last week. But we're going to get a bit of a retry and get some of those temperatures to hit more summer-like warmth as we head on into tomorrow. But yesterday, upper 80s, low 90s for the Treasure Valley, upper 80s there in places in the Magic Valley, upper 70s, low 80s for portions of the mountains, and things don't really change too much as we're going to again be in the upper 80s, low 90s for the Treasure Valley, and things don't really change too much for the mountains, and pretty similar temperatures, maybe getting a couple degrees warmer out in Jerome and in Twin Falls. But as we take a look at the outlook here for this weekend here in Boise, lots of sunshine, staying steady in the upper 80s for Saturday. It's not until Sunday that we start to see a warming trend begin into the low 90s. We see those warm temperatures into the morning, but those will continue to climb up. And that's the same thing we're going to see as we get to the start of the work week, wrap up June and begin July as we head on into Tuesday, with temperatures getting close to that century mark there, hitting the upper 90s. Some spots in the Treasure Valley could hit 100 degrees, and then other spots could surpass 100 degrees. And that includes places like Emmett that has a chance and a possibility of hitting 105 degrees as we head on into Monday and Tuesday. But not just those afternoon temperatures, morning temperatures could also hit record warmth for some low temperatures as we head into the next couple of mornings. We look and we see some of those getting into the mid 60s as we continue on through the rest of the week and heading into the weekend. But the things we are tracking are going to be some of that warmth. But aside from that, we do have some monsoon moisture that comes in northward from the desert southwest that does bring us a chance to see some thunderstorm development that comes along, most likely up into some of the higher elevations. But because of that, we're tracking some of that heat there for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Some of those thunderstorm development, which could cause some critical fire weather. And that's something that we're going to continue to pay attention to as we get on into the beginning of next week. But as we start to take a look at the 7-day forecast here for Boise and many spots in the Treasure Valley, we're going to see those temperatures again, just to kind of give a summary of what we're expecting the next couple of days. Upper 80s for today, maybe some breezier conditions come along for this afternoon. We're going to see a little bit more of that sunshine, some lighter winds as we head on into Saturday. Then we start that warming trend as that ridge starts to amplify, bringing us those temperatures back into the upper 90s. We'll see those temperatures get into the low 60s, upper 60s as we head on into Tuesday. Maybe seeing some of those clouds, but for the most part, we're going to see some of those conditions really start to rise up, getting into probably near triple-digit territory. Then as we head on into Wednesday, we're going to continue with that sunshine, mid-90s as we head on into Wednesday and Thursday, and we're expecting to stick around there with some of those temperatures in the morning hitting into the mid to upper 60s, and we're going to continue with lots of that sunshine and warm and dry conditions into the next week.
Thanks, Hector. And you heard him mention that monsoonal moisture coming in from the desert southwest that could bring some of those monsoonal storms to the desert southwest later next week. But first, they'll have to deal with some serious heat. So coming up next, we're going to take you out to Colorado, and then we'll talk about the desert southwest as well. Welcome back to Weather Out West. I'm meteorologist Ashley Ruiz. Next, we're going to take you out to Denver first, and then we're going to take you out to Phoenix, where extreme heat is expected to impact their area heading into the second half of the weekend and next week. Also, some storms in Denver.
Hello from Denver, Colorado. I'm Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin, and we have a beautiful Friday on tap. Now, this week, the weather has been crazy. Severe weather almost each and every afternoon, but we're so fortunate because we often get to see a skyline like this. Beautiful cloud formations, wonderful rainbow shots. I mean, the skies over Colorado, nothing like it. It's like a picture postcard painting every day. Well, the weather pattern is changing. High pressure is rebuilding over the area, and the flow around it is clockwise. So the plume of moisture going around last week's heat dome has shifted east, and that's allowed for a warming and drying trend. And with the storm track north, incoming systems from the Pacific Northwest to the northern Rockies are staying north for now. Now, you can't rule out a thunderstorm this time of year, and Storm Prediction Center does have a small area of northeastern Colorado in that marginal risk, a level 1 out of 5 for storms that might have more than just rain. And that's because a little wave is going to cross northern Colorado. So we'll watch for that. But as we head into tomorrow, the severe threat really non-existent across our state. So we'll be watching the northeastern corner for isolated severe storms today, east of Fort Morgan and Sterling, out to North Platte in western Nebraska. So lots of sunshine to start on a beautiful Friday, and temperatures will soar as a result. The winds are going to increase out of the southwest, but any time of year when you've got available moisture from thunderstorms and heating of the day, you'll get a couple of hit and miss storms, and that's what we'll see today. And with that weak front crossing northern Colorado, 1 or 2 of those east of Akron and Lyman might have a little hail in them. Air quality has not been great, which is a bummer to mention. High levels of ground ozone, so that air quality alert has been extended out in a day where we start in the 60s and climb to the low 90s. 7-day forecast includes an above average temperature trend, and it does look like that above average temperature trend will last today and tomorrow. We do bring in a little bit of a cool down Sunday, and then scattered storms with even cooler air coming in on Monday. Garden variety storms through the middle of next week with comfortable highs in the mid-80s.
Hello from Denver International Airport. Right behind me, runway 16 left. And the reason we're here at Denver International Airport, I want to tell you about what actually goes into a flight delay, because there's a lot of misconceptions about how it works. And also, we're going to give you some tips about how to avoid those as well. First of all, there's kind of three main things that go into a flight delay, or the three most common things, I should say, in terms of what goes into a delay. First of all, thunderstorms. During the summertime, those afternoon storms, they create really strong winds, they crisscross, and they're unpredictable. That is the number one reason, at least in the summer months, for a flight delay. Number two, it's often the wind itself. You've got strong winds, especially you're talking 30, 40 mile an hour winds. That means that often we can see only maybe 1, 2, 3 runways being used at a single time, depending on the wind and the exact direction. And then number three, visibility, fog, low clouds that can often disrupt flights as well, or really heavy rain or snow. Then taking a look as to what you should do. Try and avoid flights in the summer between 2 and 7 p.m. in the afternoon hours. That's when we get the most storms, and that's when we often see the most disruptions. Morning flights are best. And final thing, California often sees fog during the morning, so maybe those morning flights out there are not so great, as we have a plane landing right behind us. How about that? And again, there's a lot that goes into keeping those flights coming in or out smoothly. And we've got 6 runways here at Denver International Airport. And when we've got a south or a north wind, planes take off and land, as that plane that just landed behind me, those planes take off and land into the wind. So when you're talking about taking off and landing into the wind, you want to have a north or a south wind. That means that the airport is able to use 4 runways simultaneously, or on a day like today, when those winds are calm, you can get those 6 runways being used at once as well. So some fascinating science that goes into those planes taking off and landing safely here at Denver International Airport. Back to you.
That was cool. Thank you so much for that. And if you've ever flown into SeaTac, Seattle's airport, or Portland, you know those low clouds could be a nuisance. And out east, southeast, where the storms always pop up in the afternoon. Next, we are going to take you to Phoenix because it is going to be extremely hot heading into the weekend. We're talking in the 110s. Check it out.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries with a look at weather out west here in the great state of Arizona. Across the region, well, the theme of the forecast today through the early part of next week is we are warming up. So what's normal for us this time of the year? About 106 in Phoenix. We are going to elevate above that to about 108. We've got nothing but clear skies across the state. Look at this. Parker, 110, 109 in Lake Havasu today. Even the Grand Canyon and Flagstaff seeing some above normal conditions at about 83 to 85. 94 in Sedona, and right about 102 in Tucson. So here's something we always track during the monsoon. What are our opportunities for any storms? Well, as you can see, we got a big goose egg. So no storms today, but major changes in the works for us by the middle part of next week. The feature story for us is the extreme heat that's going to start settling in. As a result, National Weather Service has issued an extreme heat warning through Monday. So basically Sunday through Monday and Tuesday, we are looking for conditions to be in that torrentially hot zone. I'm talking about record conditions that could get up to about 115. So sunny, hot, winds are calm. The sun is coming up this morning at about 520. We're going for daytime highs at 108. When we start getting into these excessive zones, we really start seeing triple digits settling in earlier in the day. Today, we're going to see the triple digit range by about noon, mid 90s through 10. I'd say by Sunday and Monday, we're going to see triple digit heat by 10 o'clock in the morning. So the way we manage this heat, we plan accordingly. I mean, look at this. Even through sundown, we still have triple digits on the board. We're at about 102 by 8 o'clock this evening. So as far as where we should be, 106 is the norm. So a high of today of 108, really not that outside of what is status quo. What we want to keep our eye on is these records. And notice the record for today, 118 degrees. While I'm not calling for record heat today, we do have record heat in the forecast by Monday. So clear and mild. What we've got to do is really capitalize on the evenings. Overnight lows still pretty nice at about 84 degrees. And then it's on tomorrow. Temperatures, wow, Yuma, 111. We've got 110 in Havasu and about 110 in Phoenix. Phoenix, right at 100 at Globe. Over the next 3 days, there is definitely a theme in the works here. Highs are climbing. We're back into the 110s by Sunday, but we're not stopping there. Remember, I've got highs at about 115 degrees on Monday, which means if we hit that 115, we are going to meet the record. If we exceed it, we will be setting a new record on Monday. So extreme heat Sunday through Tuesday. These are dangerous temperatures, so stay indoors, especially during the peak of the heat, and always stay hydrated. Now, after we get through Tuesday, we've got big changes on the horizon. 6 to 10 day outlook. Not only do our temperatures start coming down, but we've got a healthy opportunity at some pop-up moisture. Yes, some monsoon energy coming our direction, all because very active elements going on in the tropics. I've been tracking this for several days, and right now, for this area that you see here in red, there's a 90% chance that this is going to develop into some sort of a named system, a tropical storm, or possibly a hurricane within the next week. And it's that moisture that then is going to be able to lift up into the Phoenix metro area by the middle part of next week and bring around an opportunity for some thunderstorms. So first, we're going to see that hit the higher elevations. So look at this. Already unstable air moving through Sunday into Monday, but a healthy chance at some pop-up showers for Flagstaff starting on Tuesday. Now for the metro, oh boy, massive drop in the mercury from 115 on Monday down to about 98 degrees on Thursday with thunderstorms moving through.
115 degrees, and thankfully that healthy drop into the 90s again, but monsoon season. Thank you so much, Ginger. Coming up next, we are going to take you nationally. Severe weather threats, the extreme heat out east, that's still a thing. We'll see you in a few minutes. A very happy Friday to you. We were taking you out west where we're talking about mostly dry conditions, the heat, but that's not the case out east, at least in terms of some rain activity, some heavy rain, severe thunderstorms, but the heat is still in full swing.
I'm meteorologist Julie Martin with a quick look at your national forecast. That intense heat we've been feeling, well, we're not finished with it just yet. From the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic, also some strong storms possible from the central U.S. to the east, and we'll be dodging potential flash flooding in the desert Southwest. Here's a look at those high temperatures for your Friday. It looks nice in New England, 70 in Portland, 75 in Hartford. We'll see 80 in D.C. Then the heat comes into play once again across the southeast. 90s across the board from Charlotte to Atlanta over to Louisville, all looking at another bit of hot weather for your Friday. A nice forecast for you in the Twin Cities though, 74 in Minneapolis. We'll stay hot in Texas as usual. Hot in Phoenix as well. Sacramento, the Valley also topping out around 99 degrees. All right, the watches and warnings in terms of your severe weather forecast, well, the orange you see on the map, that's the excessive heat watch. And that will be in effect once again for your Friday for St. Louis, Indy, Louisville, Memphis, Little Rock, Huntsville. Some of those same areas of getting hit by the heat all week long. Not quite done with it yet, so take it easy out there. Even those feels like temperatures at 8 o'clock in the morning are going to start off in the 80s for you there in Cleveland, Louisville, St. Louis, Little Rock, Dallas, Fort Worth, already at 80 by 8 in the morning, and then it just goes up from there. And many of you will be feeling that triple-digit heat by the time we top out on Friday. That includes you in Austin, Houston, New Orleans, Little Rock, Memphis. So again, stay hydrated, take it easy out there. Feeling like 90 in Denver, 103 in Phoenix. Looks nice though along the Pacific Northwest and really along the New England area as well. Not too bad in terms of those summertime temperatures. Taking a look here at the severe weather risk, we'll be dodging some storms, potentially a slight risk, a level 2 out of 5 for you here in Des Moines over toward Wisconsin, and then from DC down toward Atlanta in yellow. Hail, damaging winds will be the primary threats for you there. And then the high plains, the Dakotas for your Saturday, just on the doorsteps for you here in Minneapolis. On Sunday though, Minneapolis, you are in it, as is our portions of northern Iowa. So again, the hail, the damaging winds, and those heavy downpours. You have to watch for those. Let's take a look here at the west region for your Friday. Topping out around 67 in Seattle, 97 in Sacramento, 109 in Phoenix, 78 in San Diego, 91 in Denver, Austin, you'll be at 94. Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston also at 94. And New Orleans, Charlotte, Tampa, Atlanta, all sitting in the 90s with a few storms for you. Minneapolis at 74, that's the good spot. Buffalo at 84, DC at 80, and Indianapolis at 93. Enjoy your weekend.
Yes, enjoy your weekend indeed. So coming up next, we're going to talk about a meteor shower that peaks tonight and some more upcoming astronomical events that you can look up this summer and enjoy it. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Not only is it Friday, it's almost the weekend. So much to look forward to this time of year. Also, the Boötes meteor shower peaks tonight, but it's only going to be visible through July 2nd, so you still have time. That's Tuesday night. However, the best viewing is after midnight, and especially the higher in latitude you are, it's going to be best overnight and right before dawn. So roughly midnight to about 4 a.m. Here in Seattle, our sunrises are very early. So this is typically a minor meteor shower, averaging about 1 or 2 meteors per hour. Now, in rare cases, such as in 1998 and 2004, there were bursts of about 100 an hour. Now, there's no way of knowing ahead of time if it's going to be an active one or just a dud. You'll just really have to be patient. So if you're camping out in the mountains, really going to be ideal for that, because you want to move as far away from city lights as possible, look straight up, and make sure you give your eyes plenty of time to adjust, especially because of this meteor shower, how it's not all too active. You want to allow plenty of time. Now, Seattle's NASA Solar System Ambassador Keith Crum suggests to get out to your spot super early and use a red light flashlight over white light. You know, if you're using your phone just to see what's going on, because white light ruins your night vision. Also, if you miss this one, because we do have some more activity to look forward to, especially in August, the Perseids meteor shower, that peaks. But first, July 3rd, Earth will reach its aphelion, you know, farthest from the sun. July 10th is the buck moon, and August 9th, the sturgeon moon. But what the buck moon is, it's named that. Obviously, it's just because of this time of year with the bucks, they start to grow their antlers, typically around this time of year. And then August 9th, again, the sturgeon moon. But the Perseids meteor shower, that's typically one of the ones you really look forward to. At least I'm one of those. I know a lot of you astronomy lovers likely too. However, this year it's going to be a little different because of the waning gibbous moon phase. So you might not see as much by then. But again, that is something to certainly look forward to as we head into the later portion of the summer. So let's have a recap. We'll take you to Seattle just to show you what we're expecting over the next 7 days. Again, murky today, gradual clearing into the weekend. Cranking up the heat Monday and Tuesday. Some spots, especially south of Seattle, may push near 90 before a nice little modest cool down heading into around the 4th of July. Still going to be quite toasty, however. Taking you down to Portland. See, still murky there too, kind of similar to Seattle, just a little hotter, pushing 90 degrees on Sunday, 94 peaking on Monday, and then Tuesday 87 degrees, mostly sunny Wednesday and Thursday, and the coolest day will be today, as you see, and then tomorrow as well. So looking like a fabulous weekend. Eastern Washington, especially if you're headed out east and just east of the Cascades, tomorrow 80, but then cranking up the heat next week especially. Temperatures will peak on Tuesday about 95 degrees, and then into Boise, you heard earlier from Hector, pushing 100 degrees Monday and Tuesday, and unfortunately with that chance for a couple of thunderstorms in the higher elevations, that could spark some fires, increasing that fire danger risk. Down to Sacramento, copy and paste in terms of the sunshine, but you see a couple of days will be cooler than others. Monday, 92 degrees, but 98. You see Saturday and into portions of next week. San Diego, some marine layer, of course. Then we'll see some clearing into the afternoons. This is for the San Diego metro. Into Monday and Tuesday, into Wednesday, back down to the 70s, and of course out in the desert going to be significantly hotter, especially in Phoenix. 115 degrees on Monday, and then some thunderstorms will begin to develop thanks to that monsoonal moisture Wednesday and Thursday, which will help cool things down a little bit. Let's take you up to Denver one last time as well. We'll go from the 90s to the 80s with some thunderstorms. And you heard them mention that thunderstorms are possible pretty much each and every day. So we want to thank you so much for joining us for Weather Out West. We hope to see you next week on Monday. You can join us on your live stream, but until then, enjoy your weekend, stay safe, and stay cool.